Okay, let me make sure that my mic is working. See here. Come on. Stop being a little pie hole. Let's go. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Hello? Hello? Okay. I'm just making sure, guys. I'm making sure that my mic is working. Oh, my mic is all the way over here. Let's turn on my fan. Turn off my fan for a little bit. But anyways, guys, welcome to the video. And today we are going to be doing, and I think you can already tell with Sean Alexander on the screen. Well, unless you are, again, not an absolute fanboy like I am of the NFL. Actually, you know what? I'll turn on the fan. You know what? Never mind. But anyway, this is a video I've been working on for about 2-3-ish hours, and I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. And I was getting kind of bored at the later end of it, but yeah. But obviously, it will be the Seattle Seahawks as the simulation. We're not doing head coaches, by the way, because I just don't want to do that stuff. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna look at every team's roster. I did at least add one player from every roster except the Chiefs, because I couldn't think of any Hall of Famers outside of Tony G, and Tony G's already just a beast already. So like, and they already have Travis Kelce, so like, it just didn't make any sense. Plus, they already have a ton of Hall of Famers already with Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, etc. But anyway, the Bears, I give them Brian Urlacher. He is easily probably one of the best Bears players. I think I could have added Walter Payton onto this list as well, but I didn't decide to do it, but that's whatever. I'm not going to add him in because, one, I wasted so much time just to doing this, and yeah, and also we're not doing the proper colleges as well. Bengals, we did Anthony Mazoon. I actually kind of had to look up for this one, because on the top of my head, I knew, like, Chad Johnson, but, like, I didn't want to do him because they already have too many good receivers as it is. And then you got the Bills, which is the first team that had more than one, which is Marshawn Lynch and Bruce Smith. I know, people are like, wasn't he on the Seahawks? Yes, but fun fact, he was actually drafted from the Bills as the number 10 overall pick back in 2007, if you guys are young people in this matter. But these are both very big-time players for, he wasn't a big factor to the team, by any means. And then you got the Broncos. I honestly was about to go with Peyton Manning, but I figured out that John Elway was on this team, which is fun fact. They're both quarterback. Apparently, the Broncos have only had good quarterbacks unless they came from the Colts first. Yeah, I'm not joking. That's true, because John Elway was drafted from the Colts, but he wasn't on the Colts for quite some time. Browns, I had to go with Jim Brown. I could have probably added Joe Thomas in, but I had to do Jim Brown. I know they had Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, but I had to. He's the best running back in history. Like, I had to. Then I got with Will Snap. I think it was William Snap, but again, I'm not a big football expert like that, but yeah. Arizona, I did end up going with Larry Fitzgerald because, well, he's literally like a top 5 receiver in history, so I had to do it. Chargers, we did Davian Tomlinson. I think it was a very obvious one here. Then the Colts, I had to go with Peyton Manning. I think it was very obvious. Colts, I also thought this was a pretty obvious one. I had to do Sean Taylor. I know he wasn't like a really big NFL legend, but before he died, he was heading into like a Hall of Fame career trajectory. So, yeah. Then Dallas, I did Deion Sanders. I was actually almost thinking to do Evan Smith or Michael Irvin, but I did Deion Sanders instead. Then the Dolphins, Patrick Surtain and Dave Marino. I had to add it in Patrick Surtain. I had to because Patrick Surtain, the second in the league, so I'm like, you know what, I might as well. And then you got the Eagles. I added in Brian Dawkins. He's a very good safety, and I thought it was a very nice addition. Then you got Michael Vick, who is so far in the 20th century. Well, maybe it might change, but who knows? Is the best quarterback or the best number 1 overall pick player ever. And then the Niners, it was a very tough one because I didn't know what to do with this one, but I did end up going with Jerry Rice. I wanted to go with Steve Young, but I also gonna get some haters of doing Joe Montana. Not going with Joe Montana, so I kind of just bothered not going with any of them instead. And then I had to add 2 players of the Giants, which was Lawrence Taylor, the original LT, and Eli Manning. I had to do both of them, and then I also had to add Eli because, well, there's Peyton Manning, so, yeah. Jaguars, I did Calais. I was really thinking about this one, and I honestly could have, I was almost considering not even to do anything with them, but then I realized Calais Campbell was on the team. I know his career was majorly in Arizona, but I had no choice. And then the quarterback, we got Joe Namath. He was the only quarterback for the Jets to win a Super Bowl. Lions, I did 3 just for fun, but Night Train Lane, Calvin Johnson, and Barry Sanders, they are all on there. These 2 players enjoyed good careers, but it was very short. Packers, I did Reggie Knight. I was planning to do Brett Starr as well, but I couldn't pass over the fact that Aaron Rodgers was on the roster. Panthers, I did Steve Smith. It was kind of hard to think. I could have did Cam, but obviously I have plenty enough quarterbacks. Then I did Tom Brady, of course. That was a very obvious one. Then this one out to Charles Woodson. Rams, I did Deacon Jones and Eric Dickerson. I'm like, I had to add somebody from the 1970 or 80 Beast Pass Rush unit from the Rams, but I didn't know who. I didn't know that until I went to the Seahawks, but you get that to that point soon. And then you got the Ed Reed, Ray Lewis. I had to add them both, and I wanted to add a Ed Reed because we didn't have a single string safety heading in. Saints, we did Drew Brees, and then another obvious one, but the Seahawks has the most legends because I had to add the Legion of Boom. So, Sean Alexander, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, and Richard Sherman. I had to add them all. I had to. Steelers, I did Mejo Green. Texans, I did Vince Wilfork, mainly just because, well, they don't have a lot of legends on that roster, outside of, D-Hop. Titans, I did CJ2K, a.k.a. Chris Johnson. And the Vikings, I did 2, which was Randy Moss and Brett Favre, because in the end of his career, he was on the Vikings, funny enough. But we are going to simulate it to the playoffs and see what happens, because I'm honestly kind of curious to see what happens during the season. And then we're going to simulate it to the Pro Bowl. Actually, no, I might as well just simulate it to the Super Bowl. I'm going to just simulate it there. I don't want to simulate it like anything else, but you know what I mean. I want to simulate it to the Super Bowl because I would like to see who's in the Super Bowl, and I would like to see what's going on in the league and stuff. And then there's the trade-off, because we're not going to do anything as a GM. By the way, before I do anything else, let me turn on everything to auto, so I let the, so I don't, ruin the chance of a team to do all this stuff, and, so, full control, customized, and, yep, simple. I want to do it simple, because I want them to do everything. So, yeah, it will be interesting to see, what happens and stuff. So we're going to simulate it to Super Bowl, and see what happens. But also, again, I really appreciate you guys if you do like the video, or do something in the chat or something, because This video took a long periods of time, and I would love you guys to, well, help me out a little bit here. So, yeah. Yeah, you know what was kind of funny and I honestly liked was during free agency, the Seahawks gone and signed Bobby Wagner. I kind of had a hinge when Rams cut him. I'm like, I think he's gonna sign with Seattle because like I know we're not like a contending team really. Like we literally barely made it to the playoffs this year, but we kind of needed some old talent, because like we had young stars like Tariq Woolen, Kobe Bryant, Bafe Owe on that defense, which are young stars, but it was necessary, I think, and also we needed depth at linebacker, which at this point we don't even need that depth anymore. And it's also going to be interesting to see what they're not going to do, like, because I wasn't actually expecting them to. Not, it was interesting now because the more you think about it, you're like, what are they going to do with Jordan Brooks? And I don't know if they're going to decide to pick up the fifth-year option or are they not. But I would consider maybe picking up his fifth-year option this year because like if you've seen enough from him, don't. But if you haven't, I would consider picking up the fifth-year option because like Jordan Brooks again is injured. He's going to be injured for most of the year, so I wouldn't consider not picking up this fifth-year option unless you want him on a contract. But it's kind of just my opinion. But what is going to be interesting is to see when he does come back. Because, again, they also signed Devin Bush during the offseason, which he's a pretty good player. Like, he had a better year this year, but I think with Pete Carroll, I know for some reason, I think Mike Tomlin is a defensive-minded head coach, but I do end up actually thinking that it would be better probably in Seattle for him rather than in Pittsburgh, but it will be interesting to see what he does. But, I mean, Seattle has so far had a pretty good offseason. I wasn't really expecting them to, like, do a lot of major things. Well, I actually was, because, like, again, I said this in one of my videos. The Seattle, they're kind of in, like, a Philly situation. They were unexpected, make it to the playoffs. Then they got kind of crushed by the number 2 seed. And then they had to consider, like, is Geno Smith the guy? Which obviously I think it was quite obvious that Geno Smith was the guy. But then they had to, like, they had still a ton of needs on their roster, and then they had to fill them, and they did that exactly with the offseason and in the draft, especially. But it will be interesting to see what they end up doing in the offseason and stuff, but it's just my opinion. And we are in the Super Bowl, in Super Bowl 57. Is the Baltimore Ravens and the Philadelphia Eagles. So we still had, I want to see though, like, who was, like, where and stuff, and I'm just kind of curious. And you also have the number 1 offense and defense. It's very interesting. I kind of want to see these stuff, because, it's me. Bengals at the number 1 offense, while the Ravens at the number 1 defense. I mean, that's not a surprise when you have, like, a ton of beast players. But let's go check the NFL. Joe Burrow, Tom Brady with the Buccaneers. He's going to probably retire soon. And then you got Dan Marino up there. Running back CJ2K had the most rushing yards. Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs were up there. Mike Evans had the most receiving yards with Cooper Kupp, and then Michael Thomas, Devontae Adams. There wasn't really a good receiver out of, the group until, like, Randy Moss, which he didn't get. And the only person that didn't allow a sack was Quentin Nelson. So the most tackles went to C.J. Mosley, as well as Shaq Thompson, Ted Greenlaw. Most tackles for loss gone to Calais Campbell with 28. It's a lot. It's a lot, to say the least. And Myles Garrett broke... Literally, I don't know what's up, but the Browns defense just somehow generated like over 50 sacks with 2 players. I am confused, but whatever. So let's see who won everything and just see what happens. And we're also will check what is MVPs, defensive MVPs, and rookies of the year, which will actually have legends in it as well. So I just want to mention that. So the number 1 seed in the AFC were Cleveland. I don't think that's a surprise when you're generating 50 sacks a season. Buccaneers had the number 1 seed. So Browns, again, they won the AFC North. Colts won the AFC South, as well as the Titans. They made it to the playoffs, but Bengals and Ravens were, while the Steelers didn't. AFC East, the Bills made it, but the Jets didn't, despite they were 10-7. Chiefs made it, but that was it. Very weird in simulation that the Chiefs ended up going 9-8. Because I was messing around with some playbooks and stuff, but I changed it a little bit on. Vikings, they went 11-6, and they were the only team that made it in the playoffs. Saints, I don't know how they made it, but they did. And the Bucks both made it in the playoffs. Eagles made it in the playoffs, and Rams, Seahawks also made it, and the Niners. And I think the worst team this year was the Bears. No, it was the Lions. 2-15. That's upsetting, honestly, because, they had so much talent, and then they just, So, we're gonna go, simulate this Super Bowl. I think I might simulate this into parts. We'll simulate it for, multiple seasons and stuff like that, but that's kind of what I'm gonna do. But we're gonna go with Baltimore here. Might as well. Baltimore, they are in the Super Bowl against the Philadelphia Eagles. Both bird teams, funny enough, are in the Super Bowl. It's kind of funny, not gonna lie. They both have... I did not meant to do that. Both big... Well, the Ravens have the advantage with the number 1 defense. So, it's going to be interesting to see how the Eagles are going to be in. And funny enough, they were the team that ended up going in the Super Bowl in real life in this year, but they're going against a different opponent in the Ravens. Obviously, I think the Ravens has such just a beast roster is because they have 2 beast linebackers. They have probably 4 good safeties, which is ridiculous. They have probably the best secondary in the league. They have the best linebacking core in the league. They have the best mobile quarterback in the league. They have one of the best tight ends in the league. They have a lot of talent all over the roster. That's kind of what I'm trying to say here. But we're going to simulate it until the end of the game and see what happens. And we'll jump. I'm not going to jump in, obviously, but we're going to watch action if it does get close in the 4th quarter. But so far, it's relatively a close game. They came back from a 14-0 lead, but the Eagles are starting to hold on for a little bit. And Eagles are at the 5 with the football, I think. But, yeah, I think so. Simulate next quarter. Alright, so Lamar has the ball at the 5. But just pretty much at this point trying to shoot clock, pretty much. And they give it to J.K. Dobbins, and that will be a touchdown It's not quite game over yet because they still have all 3 timeouts. They still have the 2-minute warning, but yeah. Jalen Hurts is infuriated. Holy cow. Okay. Justin Tucker, probably the best kicker in the league, without a question. Like, you gotta get what I mean here. The Ravens are just such a stacked roster, top to bottom. It's ridiculous, and that's why they're about to probably win the Super Bowl here. I don't know why they're returning it when. Okay, that was an interesting move, but whatever. Boston Scott. All right, and then you got your boy Jalen Hurts, who was infuriated, as we saw right there. Let's see here. See what they could do. Here we go. They handed it off to Miles Sanders. Pretty boring and also a little confusing because they should be driving down the field, you know? They should really be driving down the field, not actually. And I also was very shocked they didn't set a run with no huddle as well. But, okay. Again, just interesting play calling by Nick Sirianni. There you go, play action, ball right there, and they didn't get quite a first down there. And Jalen Hurts has more interceptions than touchdowns. Yeah, I think you might want to change that. And there you go, and that is an incomplete pass. 31. Honestly, I think they should be a little relieved that's an incomplete, because 1, it stops the clock, and 2, it's better off than it being picked. So there are some benefits of it being an incomplete pass there, so... And another incomplete pass. Okay, that one was a little annoying there for Eagles. And 4th and 1. If they don't get the 4th down here, it's pretty much game over. So, unless they could... And A.J. Brown, how do you drop that? I am so confused. How can you drop a pass like that? I'm sorry, but I just straight up can't say, like, I'm out of words to describe what the heck were they doing there. And the Eagles, not the Eagles, the Ravens end up winning the Super Bowl, despite Jalen Hurts has a better completion percentage, with 61.8. I don't know if that's good or not. I guess it is. But, you know what's funny is that Lamar Jackson had like a 55.8 or 0% completion percentage, and yet they still won. I am out of words to describe what the hell happened. Advancing to next week. And, yep, we're going to just... moving on from there. I'm honestly not that surprised that the Ravens were the ones that end up winning the Super Bowl. But, yeah. The Ravens, obviously, again, went to the Super Bowl. Roquan Smith wins MVP, and Calais Campbell, Larry Fitz, they win Offensive Rookies, which that will, again, change. Zach Taylor wins. Nothing really, like, is crazy out of the air, like, type of thing happens, but... And then you got the draft, which the draft will be very interesting because, well, it's going to be interesting. But we're going to simulate it. I'm going to, like, simulate it, not to the draft, obviously, but we'll simulate it to, like, the, until I see, like, mock draft number 4, and then just see what happened during free agency and stuff. But I'm also assuming that Ravens have made their moves during the offseason as well. But we're going to expect a lot of free agents because most of the legends end up or on one-year deals. So I'm expecting a lot of free agents here. A lot of them. A lot of them. Alright. And then you got the 5th-year option. We're not going to do that, but we're going to simulate it to next week and see what happens, I guess. But again, I am pretty positive that we did. I have everything on auto, so if some people are, well, if nobody went to the Ravens, it's not my fault. But yeah, a lot of legends, like I said, turning out to be free agents. And Drew Brees and Dan Marino are both somehow free agents. And yes, it is auto, so it's confirmed right there. And holy, they got a ton of talent on that roster. Holy. But Sean Alexander was signed. We're going to just look at like some of them. Michael Thomas ended up going to the Eagles. Okay, that's interesting. Another Eagle in Jordan Poyer. But yeah, I didn't have there were like a few legends there, but some of them are still out there with their teams at the moment. But yeah, but we're gonna simulate it to next season. We're not gonna bother watching the draft or looking at the draft, I should say, but it's gonna be interesting. And we're also gonna be looking back at how the Super Bowl roster is looking like after the season, which I think is going to be interesting. I really want to see how like terrible or how interesting the roster is. Obviously, they don't have Ed Reed. They don't have Ray Lewis anymore, which was pretty understandable. They already have Roquan Smith. They already have Kyle Hamilton, Chuck Clark. So it made sense, but they did lose talent at that position. That's the thing that you have to consider. Wow, this is taking so long. Longer than I expected. Wow, okay. Next time that happens, I think I might consider just, like, going into the draft and then just simulating it from there. Because, like, it's so much faster probably that way. But, yeah, and thought they were going against Marshawn Lynch, which he went to Atlanta. Okay? But this is a take a look at the defending Super Bowl champs. They have 4 above 69 overall running backs. I don't know why they take running backs super seriously. But again, their receiving core is still doo-doo cheeks. That's not even a surprise to me. And, yeah. And then defensively, it seems like they didn't really draft anybody. But, I mean, it's not surprising when they had the number 1 overall defense last year, but it is interesting to look. But it was quite interesting to see Ravens going in the Super Bowl. In simulation, but it's interesting. And also, Marshawn Lynch is, again, in Atlanta, which is very interesting. And one interesting part about this as well is that Lamar Jackson... Well, I mean, not Lamar Jackson. The Ravens didn't sign a single legend player. So it is going to be interesting to see what they are planning here. I mean, again, they don't have a weakness at the roster. Outside of a true number 1 receiver. That's a weakness for sure. But besides that, that's a very good roster with very good talent. But I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised this team does run it back, but it's not going to be easy because, well, they'll not have some of those players at the number 1 defense last year. So, yeah. And we are in the Super Bowl. But we got two teams that you would never expect to even make it here. The Chargers and the Vikings. Wow. And the Ravens went 10-7. Like the entire division. Literally did. So the AFC Browns won. NFC the Rams won. But the AFC North, we already know. But every team in the AFC North made it to the playoffs. That's the first time it ever has happened. Which we were very close for last year. Well, last year's real life season, but no, because the Commanders, they're mediocre when you expect. Colts made it to the playoffs. The Bills made it to the playoffs. And Chargers just made it to the playoffs, obviously. The Packers, the Bears, and the Vikings all made it to the playoffs. Then you got the Falcons. They made it. The Cowboys made it. And Rams and 49ers. But let's see who's the worst team this year. And it was Houston as 5-12. Tied with the Saints and the Cardinals. But projectively, Houston is the worst. That's very interesting. I'm honestly kind of curious about why that's there, but whatever. But, okay, so apparently just a rookie quarterback just went off this year, and he might win MVP. So, the Browns ended up with the best offense this year, while the Rams had the best defense this year. So, none of our Vikings or Chargers get any advantages by any means, and Lamar might not be on the Baltimore Ravens for any longer. But Will Rose, I'm out of words to just say that. He ended up beating pretty much every quarterback, and Dan Marino is now a Dallas Cowboy. Why? Just why? Joe Burrow made it as well, but it's so confusing. Rushing yards, CJ2K hold the rushing title again. Dang. That's crazy. Cooper Kupp made it up as the most. The best legend receiver is... Where are they? Calvin Johnson. I don't understand. And everybody had at least a sack this year. Okay, that's nice. Davon DeBebo had the most tackles this year. Will Snap had the most tackles for loss. Myles Garrett, again, had the most sacks this year. But Calais Campbell was pretty close for that title. 9 interceptions for Stephon Gilmore. I am out of words to describe how Myles Garrett is just being a fucking beast. But it's so I don't understand how the Browns have a very good rushing attack and Myles Garrett, and yet they still don't make it to the Super Bowl. I don't understand. I really don't. And the Vikings, which they were also, I think, were maybe trying to go get Tom Brady, ends up actually having Tom Brady in this world. Crazy. Imagine, I would lose my mind if Tom Brady somehow win his 8th ring this year. I'm gonna lose it. But yeah, you can kind of see why this roster is really fucking good. You can kind of see why. Their O-line is amazing. Their running backs, running back I should say, is good, amazing. 2 amazing receivers with an amazing tight end. And then you got a defense that has a beast rookie for years to come. But not the world's best secondary, which can be a disadvantage to LA's beast offense, which, again, they do have a really good offense, and with LT there, I'm really curious to see who will win this game. It goes down to Justin Herbert versus Tom Brady. Now, that will be a fun show to watch. Now, I mean, I could have also did Phillip Rivers. I actually kind of just noticed that until now that I could have did Phillip Rivers. Was it Phillip Rivers? Or no, Big Ben was the guy who lasted the most out of the 24 QB class, which was insane in terms of QBs. But I'm sorry, but the truth is, I think the 2020 class is going to have the best quarterback group for ever. And that's kind of just facts. Because, like, seriously, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Hurts. You're not finding 4 beast quarterbacks in one draft class. You're just not. It's just... You're not. That's not possible. I think I'm missing Jordan Love, which he could potentially be good. So I'm just mentioning that. But yeah, and so far it's just really just been a shootout so far. But the Vikings have the lead at the moment. Now it's a tie, but the Vikings still hold on to that lead, and we got a tie game. This is interesting. I'm gonna go with normal here, but we're gonna just be normal here. LA got a turnover. They just got a touchdown. And this is where we're gonna see what's going on here. Alright. Tom Brady. Let's see if he gets one more ring, and I'm gonna lose it. And I don't know why, but it has to be the Vikings that Tom Brady goes to. I don't know why, and again, I genuinely hate the Vikings. I do. As well as I hate the 49ers. Which I'm glad they have yet to make it to the Super Bowl so far. Questionable underneath throw to Dalvin Cook, who's again on the roster in real life. But yeah, like, the money is going to be extremely low because of how, like, crazy the QB play is going to be. Because, like, I think there's enough quarterbacks for every team to have at least one good quarterback. And we're in 3rd and 4 with a Tom Brady questionable throw there. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. And nice pass. That's to Randy Moss. I have a feeling that LA is going to win. And this, like, both of these teams are known for choking. Which is why it's very interesting to see who's actually going to win here. Is it Minnesota, the Purple Carnation of Satan, or is it going to be the LA Chargers, which they are just known for choking? Which is evident to this playoff game that they were in. Like, I don't know how they just, like... Well, the Colts, they're the worst so far right now at choking. It proves to itself the fact that they blew a 33-point lead. I don't care how many times they've choked. That's just, like, the truth. And I don't think anybody wants Matt Ryan on their team anymore as well. But, yeah. But they have about a minute left, and that is an incomplete pass. It seems like they were trying to just, again, Moss with Randy Moss. I mean, there's nothing to say there, pretty much. Alright. Second down, and they throw it in a very conditional throw by, could have been picked there by, TJ Hawkinson, though, with the catch. And it is a completed pass to Adam Thielen. This could actually go to overtime if they do score a touchdown and also make the extra point, which we have seen. Alright, they got a touchdown, but will they choke? Will they choke it? Will they choke the field goal, or will they choke the LA's get the 3 points? I mean, seriously, who's gonna choke here? Or is it gonna be nobody? It's gonna be interesting here. Tom Brady with the excellent pass to TJ Hawkinson. But it's nice to see, though, like, two teams that have, like, barely ever made it to the Super Bowl. And I think I don't think either of these teams, though, have yet to even win a Super Bowl. I know Minnesota hasn't, but I don't think LA has either. So, yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see who wins here. I had my money, though, on Minnesota, but I mean, right now, the Chargers, they have the advantage. because they have around 30 seconds left to try to put like 3 points on the board, and they have all 3 timeouts. So it's not the ropes of them getting 3 points here. It really isn't. And you got LA marching on the field, and see what they do here. And this is like their last chance to really get an opportunity to go into a Super Bowl here. Because of, well, they're about to pick Justin Herbert, so they gotta win this game. And there you go. LA uses, obviously, their first timeout. But, it's going to take more than throwing underneath or, like, 5-yard passes to getting to field goal range. Something like that, but it's incomplete. 3rd and 4. And Jason Sanders is their kicker, who's right now on the Dolphins, funny enough. But it's going to be interesting to see who wins this game. And nice tap-toe pass to, I don't really know who it was there, but it is a first down, and they have 20 seconds left with 2 timeouts, so I think it might be Austin. Nope, it's Keenan Allen. He's probably going to retire after this game. That's kind of just my opinion. But, yeah, Chargers, I think, they're going to go to winning the Super Bowl, and to the point to they're probably not even going to make it to the playoffs. That's just my guess. That's just my guess here. And there you go. Chargers use their 2nd timeout, and they are very close to field goal range. I mean, seriously, they are very close, but they only have 13 seconds, like 2 plays, and it's field goal range right there. That's indeed field goal range. So I think LA has won it. They have won the Super Bowl, but they just hope that Jason Sanders doesn't choke the Super Bowl. That's the only thing they hope, is that they just don't choke the field goal here. Alright. I believe this is like around like a 60-yard field goal or something like that. And it is no good. It seems like Jason Sanders choked the field goal, and there is 1 second left for the Vikings to, well, go for it. To me, I say go for the Hail Mary. I say to get your 53-yard. I did not meant to do that. Whoops. But yeah, try the Hail Mary. I mean, you have 1 second left, and you're 53 yards away from the end zone, so might as well. And they're launching it downfield, and it is incomplete. That's not a surprise, but again, it's worth taking a shot. So yeah, again, like, it seems like LA had like control, and then the Vikings control it, and then like controlled it, and then the Chargers came back. It's like both teams have choked. Vikings end up actually winning the coin toss, which that might make them win the Super Bowl here. I think it really does, again, depend on the coin toss, and it seems like they don't have the proper coin. Like, an actual, like, proper coin, you know? But here you go with the kickoff in overtime. See what happens. I'm honestly kind of curious to see what happens. But again, if it ties for, like, let's say, nobody puts points, or it's 37-37, it just keeps going and keeps going. I just want to inform that, just in case if somehow you don't know what the overtime rules is. So, yeah. Because there's no such thing as more than one team can win a Super Bowl. There's no such thing. And there you go. Khalil Mack just went in and just wrecked him. I also turned up the volume, by the way. But, yeah, he just wrecked my mans. Man, that's called defense right there. That is what you call defense. Actually, I think this is like the second Super Bowl that's went to overtime. And the first one was the Philly and New England one, where Philly won the Super Bowl, obviously, but you know what I mean. Dalvin Cook has officially rushed for over 80 yards. Not a really good stat for 17 carries. It's not really, trust me. Tom Brady in the pocket and makes a perfect throw to Adam Thielen, and that might make them win this game. I mean, really, they're pretty close to field goal range, as you could see on that play. So, yeah, I mean, really all I got to do now is kind of just shoot clock, try to get to first, and it might be game over. But, again, it's if. Because, again, you can't win from a field goal. It's a touchdown, and then you win. Which, obviously, because, like, if they just get 3 points, they just have to stop them from getting any points, and then it's game over. And they're finally in field goal range, thanks to Randy Moss's jet sweep. But it's not what they're targeting for. They're targeting for that touchdown. Dalvin Cook gets the ball, and it seems like they lose yards and out of field goal range. So that makes this very interesting. Oh wait, they're actually on the line, so like they're not quite out of field goal range. And there you go. Now they're on field goal range, using Ty Chandler, which is his third carry of the game. And I'm assuming this is the biggest carry of his entire game, which is 2 yards. Nothing spectacular whatsoever. Alright, let's see what Tom Brady could do here in the 3rd and 8. And Justin Jefferson is wide open, and that is a touchdown. Minnesota wins their first ever Super Bowl. And I think this is LA's first Super Bowl as well, so they didn't win their first Super Bowl. I think it's like a curse or something when you go to your first Super Bowl. And, like, you have a very low chance of winning, it seems like. I don't know why. But kind of just my opinion. Tom Brady wins his 8th ring. Oh yeah, for some reason, in this game, they just do this. I don't quite know why. It's overtime rules. Like the game should technically be over. So I'm kind of confused about that. But that's kind of just my personal opinion. I don't know why they do this. Alright. And yep, there you go. So, Minnesota wins their first ever Super Bowl ring. Well, LA loses their first ever Super Bowl, I think. I don't know if they have or not, but it's kind of just my personal opinion of what I think. But, again, that's just, my opinion, I think. But, yeah, we're simulating it. And let's see, the rewards. I'm going, to be shocked if the quarterback wins every freaking MVP thing, I'm gonna lose my mind. So, he wins, MVP, and then he wins offensive MVP, it's gonna be crazy. But, again, Vikings. Oh, so they have made it to the Super Bowl before, I think. Okay, but Joe Burrow, thank God, won MVP, and Zach Taylor won his back-to-back coach MVP. Tom Brady ended up winning his 8th ring. I'm super pissed about it, but whatever. Myles Garrett and Cooper Kupp, I think they both won they won those rewards last year. JT Elliott and Craig Hackett won the offensive and defensive rookies of the year, respectively. And we are going to simulate it to the end of the offseason. So before the draft, anybody's asking. Oh, dang it, I I messed up with that. I am terribly sorry about that. Whoops. I am terribly sorry. Oh my lord. Yeah, now I'm gonna have to go through here. It's not fun. So I wanna see yes, sign. Does it include re-sign? I'm assuming so, but yeah, here's all the free agents. Dan Marino is now a Tennessee Titan. That's actually going to be interesting to see how that's going to go. CJ2K is now in New Orleans. So that's actually kind of interesting. And Derrick Henry finally gets his own workload, hopefully. So, but the two punch is now over. The train versus CJ2 with CJ2K. So that's a nice sign to see. And it just seems like now they're just not really getting into like anything spicy. Sam Boston, an undrafted player, ends up. Oh, Larry Fitz went to New York, so that's nice. Other than here's the staff week and stuff. Okay. Well, we're gonna simulate it to next season, obviously, but I'm honestly curious to see what happens. Alright, so let's go check the look at the defending Super Bowl champs and how their roster is looking at. So, yep, not surprising. Tom Brady has retired. Geno Smith is now their starting quarterback, so that's interesting. They end up drafting a running back, and he's immediately injured for 1 week in the preseason, which that makes that very interesting. And let's see how their defense is. Yeah, it doesn't look that pretty. Ugh. I mean, Harrison Smith is good, and Danielle Hunter, but like that defense is just like, ew. Your offense is great and all, but they're not winning a Super Bowl with Geno Smith under center. But yeah, let's see. Like, if I've seen obviously I know their offense is still very explosive, and they still have a decently average defense, but that could definitely be a team that can at least. What's the Rams' record this year? What was it? I think it was 6-. It was, I think it was 5-12 or 6-11. But the point is that I think they could be that team to maybe tie or break the record. I know, again, I know. They have a really good offense around Geno Smith, and their defense is average, but it's nothing spectacular, again. And they don't have quite a good quarterback. So, do I see them not? Do I see them being absolutely terrible? No. But do I actually see this team make it to the playoffs? No. No, I'm not. I'll be pretty shocked if they are. And not surprising, this team went 9-8. I don't even think they made it to the playoffs, but the Colts and the Cowboys did. Okay. That's interesting. Oh yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if any rookie, not real life head coach can actually make it to up, you know. But Todd Waltz has so far, he's almost the top 10, which that's kind of interesting, not gonna lie with you. And then you got Rodgers. He has some points. But it's gonna be interesting, but yeah. And then you got the Chiefs, #1 offense, and #1 D. So you know what's funny is how in the world does this team not make it to the playoffs? Well, I mean not make it to the playoffs. I mean by like winning. I don't know. I don't know why, but Brett Favre ended up having the most passing yards, but Matt Clinton wins Rose. So yep, it was quite a 1 year. Well, it wasn't a fluke, but you know, it wasn't crazy. But Patrick Mahomes, it's so funny now in this universe mode. Patrick Mahomes is 29, I think. No, he's 28, but he's about to be 29. It's freaking crazy. And Jonathan Taylor had the rushing title this time. Someone different, but Derrick Henry made it. So, like, who cares? Where did CJ2K go? Oh, he dropped significantly. Cooper Kupp had over 2,000 yards. Yeah, he's about to win offensive MVP again. Calvin Johnson, I forgot he went to Houston. Every team, again, every player did allow a sack. Miles Jack with the most tackles. Trayvon Walker with the most tackles for loss. And Myles Garrett. What is up with Myles Garrett winning every single... he got 33 sacks. I think he beat his record. No, he didn't. The best for a legend was Reggie White, which he had 19, to be exact. Most interceptions go to Tyson Campbell. Okay. And Deion Sanders, if you were wondering, a legend. Interesting. So we're gonna see which team is better, Colts or the Cowboys, and I'll predict which team will win the Super Bowl. To me, I just think it's gonna be Dallas. I just have a hinge that it's gonna be Dallas. You know what will be very fun is if the Colts win a Super Bowl now, never win a Super Bowl, and then all of a sudden Peyton Manning wins his last Super Bowl in his last season. But in terms of overall ratings, Dallas Cowboys is better, and they have a slightly better offense, which that makes that team slightly better, but they have the exact same defense, so it will be interesting. Alright. But, see, so it's, I think... Who is their quarterback right now? I think it's Dan Marino, I think. Is it Dan Marino? No. They don't have Dan Marino. So it's Dak Prescott. And I believe it's gonna be Peyton Manning. I will be shocked if it's not Peyton Manning. It also seems like they're not gonna have CeeDee Lamb in this game, which that'll be interesting. So the top threes for these teams are Jonathan Taylor, who had the rushing title. Stephon Gilmore last year, he had the most interceptions. And Quentin Nelson 1 year didn't even have to allow a sack. Then you had Dak Prescott, Zeke, and Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons, he is probably the future of, terms of, a beast pass rusher. Without a doubt in that regardment. And I mean by that, he will be in the league for at least 5 more seasons as an absolute monster. I'm not saying, Aaron Donald or TJ Watt will be, terrible in the following years. It's just, you know what I mean. What up, Mauser? Jesus Lord! Jesus Lord, child. Well, I'm lucky that didn't freaking cut it off. Holy. Jesus Lord. Okay, well, I'm putting that there for now on. Oh my god, Mauser. Jeez. You literally tripped on the PlayStation. What the heck? But, yeah, we're gonna simulate. See how it goes. I'm kind of gonna assuming this game will end up being a shut up, like a very interesting game. You know, So far, very close game, which is very understandable because their overalls are literally the same. And yeah, I think Dallas has won. Dallas has probably won. Yep, Dallas. Yep. Dallas wins their 6th ring, and Mike McCarthy wins his 2nd. And yet, they did indeed have Peyton Manning. Oh my god. Ugh. So the Cowboys win their 1st ring in terms of the simulation, but they're 6th in terms of history. But Cooper Rush and Myles Garrett are about to win their 3rd in a row Super Bowl. It's so stupid that they're going to win their 3rd in a row offensive and defensive MVP rewards, respectively. Kyler Murray, okay, that's an interesting one, wins MVP. Mike McCarthy wins Coach MVP. And Dak Prescott wins Super Bowl MVP, but Tony Murnick, who's on the Colts, funny enough, was the tight end Rookie of the Year. And then you got Austin Kelly with Defensive Rookie of the Year. It's just like Tampa Bay starting to build a team, for sure. But, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what they are going to do in the offseason. Alright. Now we're going to simulate another week. But again, I'm just making sure that we don't speed up in the draft. I also forgot about records and stuff, but honestly I don't think we're really going to need to know that stuff anyway, but I kind of only care about the rewards and stuff like that. But let's see what's going on with the off season. Nick Bosa goes to Denver. And Joe Nana goes to another terrible franchise in the Lions. Oh, that's going to be interesting. Jim Brown goes to the Vikings. Replacement, I'm assuming, for Dalvin Cook. Drew Brees is still a free agent, as well as John Elway, Eli Manning. But, yeah. Kyle Pitts goes to the Niners. Jalen Hurts goes to Tennessee. Ron St. Brown goes to the losing Super Bowl champions in the Indianapolis Colts. Wow. Gregory Rousseau goes to Denver. Yeah, Denver has a very scary defensive line. Trey Smith goes to Dallas, as well as Trey Hendrickson and Gabe Davis. So they have not messed around. They are making sure that they get their title back. Austin Eckler goes to Tennessee. Very interesting. Probably just for an elusive back or something like that. Greg Newsome is going to the Niners. Nothing really crazy going on and stuff, but Matthew Judon going to the Giants is interesting. And now he sucks. It's very interesting. In this world now, he sucks. Very, very, very interesting. You know what's also very interesting is how is the universe working in terms of cap space? Because again, and I said this once and I'll say it again, there are a ton of quarterbacks that are franchise QBs that are above, again, 90 overall. So it's kind of interesting to see how that's going to go. But my guess in terms of who's going to win the Super Bowl, and you probably already know, I think it might be Denver and Dallas. Like, Dallas looks like they have a very good roster to compete back in the Super Bowl. It doesn't seem like they haven't lost any of their big-time talents either. And Denver has now probably one of the best defensive lines in the league. Outside of they don't have now a quarterback anymore. But I'm assuming they're going to get one of the 4 beast quarterbacks in like John Elway or, something like that. Joe Green now has superstar dev. That's interesting. So his dev trait went up massively during the season. But you kind of could get what I mean. Yeah, Dak Prescott has progressed. I understand. And yes, they don't really quite have a true number 1 receiver. I guess Gabe Davis is, but, But their O-line is really good. They don't really have a flaw there. Their defense is very good with Deion Sanders, Micah Parsons, Trey Hendrickson. They got good pieces on this defense, which makes this defense really good. But I also want to see what is Denver looking at the moment. But let me just show you one more time just to show you how many beast quarterbacks there are. Because there are tons in this league. I think it's hey, welcome to the stream. But anyway, Joe Nada. Like, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, 19. There are 19 franchise QBs, which, again, actually, probably 20, because I guess we might as well include Will Rudolph, who is an absolute beast in simulation for some odd reason. But it is very interesting. Like, I'm honestly kind of curious to see what Denver has in store with the simulation and stuff. But Dallas, like, this is probably going to be the first team that probably might break the back-to-back Super Bowl thing. And again, we are going to simulate this into parts, but when I get bored, that's when we're going to do it, because I think we might do more than just 2 seasons. And yes, there might be some breaks here and there of me, like, getting some milk or water or something, or getting some food, or getting some dinner, or something like that, but this will be a thing we're probably going to be doing all day long. Probably, but who knows? Unless somebody wants to, like, play with me on Fortnite or something, like, or something like that, I will probably going to just be on this for the rest of the day. Because it's very interesting to see how, the season pans out with, if all, like, probably when this series will be over is when every Hall of Fame player is retired. That's probably when it's going to end. And that will be very interesting. That will be, like, when it gets to interesting. Because then it, like, depends on which team built it, like, the best team and stuff. And yet, we'll probably still simulate 1 year when all the players retired and stuff. But, again, it will be interesting. But I would like to see is generational players. That is what I want to see. Is generational players that are... Because generational players just make the game so much more interesting in terms of simulation. And that's why I'm kind of curious to see how is that going to go in terms of, well... how is it going to happen? And, you know, what team is he going on and stuff like that. But, like, again, I also really do assuming, like, and again, this is probably a very obvious opinion, but I don't think there are going to be a lot of teams that do end up going to the Super Bowl this year, like going back-to-back Super Bowls. Like, I'm assuming that, like, maybe 1 or 2 teams might go back-to-back winning Super Bowls, or at least even making it to both Super Bowls, but I don't think they're gonna, like, constantly make it to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And so far, we have yet to see a team that has actually made it to the Super Bowl more than once in terms of our simulation so far. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. So we have simulated, but again, no one has yet to make it at least twice. But Seattle and Cincinnati for Super Bowl 60. That'll be very fun and interesting. But let's see, like records and also who won number ones and stuff like that. But Cincinnati had the number one offense, so they already have an advantage. But Seattle has the number one defense. That makes this very interesting. And now it depends on how good the Cincinnati's defense and Seattle's offense is going to be. But again, it's going to be interesting. Joe Burrow had won the stuff like that. You know, won the most passing yards. The best legend is Joe Nana. Derrick Henry had the most rushing yards. Oh, LT this time has more rushing yards.
Joe Mama.
Hey, what's up, dude? You just come in Joe Mama. Oh my god, bro. But what happened to CJ2K? He flopped. Yeah, 1,000. Look at this, my man's career. Like, my man's career flopped fast. Like, don't mind these 2 seasons. Don't mind that, but he flopped significantly. He went to beating the rushing title back to back to like flopping 300 yards and then flopping.
Want to play Fortnite?
Yeah, I'll play some Fortnite just, you know, after some couple things, but yeah. But then you got receiving yards. Tyreek Hill.
Because I have no life.
Okay. And then Larry Fitzgerald ending up with the best in terms of legends. And finally, someone not named Cooper Kupp has the most receiving yards. Thank God. And 3 players end up not having sacks. 2 of them that actually mattered. Miles Jack again has the most tackles. That's interesting. Chris Jones tackles for loss. And what is up with Myles Garrett? I don't understand. Why does Miles Garrett? This is the 4th year in a row where this man won defense. Bro, I can't stand this. I just can't. How? How? And Calais Campbell, for the 2nd year in a row, has made it to 2nd place. But it's so, like, why? And there are a lot of people got 6 interceptions. But anyway, we will end it here. I'll, again, make a part 2, but anyways, peace.